Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of Midweek Matters. As always, joined by Charlie White.
James, I'm very good, James. How are you?
A bit tired, a bit fatigued.
What have you done today? 25k run?
Been for a run.
Yeah.
And hit the wall. Massively hit the wall.
Genuine wall.
Genuine wall. Big time.
Like Run Fat Boy Run. Have you seen that movie where he hits the wall?
No. I haven't.
Great movie. You should watch that.
I probably didn't prepare well. I was supposed to do 30Ks. And I did some other runs earlier in the week. Got to the run today. Hit the wall. And at 24K, I had to stop. I had to get an Uber back to the car.
No, you didn't.
I did, mate. Yeah, wow. I was gone.
How long's a marathon?
42.
Oh, so you're miles off.
No, I'll be...
No, you're miles off.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But the weather as well messed me up. Like, because it is warmer.
It is, so yeah. You are looking a little bit sunburnt.
Yeah.
A little bit sun-kissed on the arms there. A few more freckles than normal.
I know. So the weather got me because I started the run at just after 9. But also the fact that I've done too much training this week.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I'll be sweet. But far out, man. I normally enjoy getting to the wall and overcoming it and being like, right, I'm just going to burst through this, push on and don't. But it just got me.
Do you think you have a bit of a problem with training too much? Because Josh Reynolds and I were actually just having a chat on Monday. You two went to Bundaberg together. And he mentioned that you were sort of a bit manic, like you had to have a run in. You had to get your run in. And it made Josh feel bad about himself. So he then went to the gym because he's like, oh, well, if James is training, I guess I have to train as well.
Well, it's nice to know that my friends are tracking me. And
we're just worried about you, mate. Because
training tracking me. Like,
yeah, but we're just worried about you as a whole because there's a manicness to you. There's like, I've got to do this, and that. And maybe the training thing is as well.
Maybe it is, yeah. Like maybe it's a positive addiction.
Yep. Or that you can overtrain and then you can hit the wall.
You can overtrain and then hit the wall. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a positive addiction. Maybe, but I don't know. Like, you know what I'm like with the schedule, Charlie? And I looked at the schedule for Bundaberg. I missed the first opportunity to run, which I was filthy about, so I had to squeeze one in. I don't know. I think it's a mindset of just don't make excuses, just find a way. Would you rather exercise for an hour a day or be dead for 24?
That's a good question.
So I just find a way to make it work. And on today's, I've already done a fair bit of training this week.
Yeah.
And I'm just of the mindset of like, if an hour presents itself, just go.
Well, speaking of training, things are starting to escalate in your wrestling beef. And if you do go down this wrestling path, which it feels like you might, there is you're going to be having to do some training. Yeah. But there was a video that's come out that PWA have shared that is actually in support of you, I believe. So we can take a listen to this now.
I was wondering what you were thinking about the James Graham, Ricky South debacle.
I think that Ricky South and Grayson Waller should have kept their mouth shut. I understand where they were coming from. Like, okay, so somebody with a bit of profile outside of pro wrestling says something that could be construed as negative about pro wrestling. It happens sometimes, and it is good for us to defend ourselves. I can respect that, but it's like the way they want to. Like, you guys know who David Schultz is, right? He was a pro wrestler. Well, exactly. But what happened with him? There was an interviewer. He said something negative about pro wrestling. Did David Schultz go on the internet and have a whinge? No. He went up to the guy and he smacked him in the face. What did Grayson Waller and Ricky South do? They posted very safe videos on Instagram flaming them like a bunch of immature little school kids. You know why they didn't go up to James Graham and slap him in the face? Because he would have punched him. He was a professional athlete. Yeah, he's not just some normal dickhead sitting on his couch saying about pro wrestling. He was known as one of the toughest nuts in the NRL. And they're saying that he couldn't last 2 minutes in a pro wrestling ring. Like, pro wrestling's tough, but that was just a stupid statement. Like, at this point, I wish that James Graham would actually come in and just do something so those guys would shut their mouths to stop making the rest of us look like the insecure little bitches that those two are.
Jimmy.
Jack Bonza. Finally, somebody in the wrestling fraternity that you have some respect for, that's knowledgeable. That's not a headline chaser. That's not, making claims that they just can't back up.
No, he actually gets it. He speaks facts.
He understands it. What a credit to PWA that person is, that man is.
Yeah, because I thought everyone at PWA was brainless, but there is obviously a few brain cells floating around that organisation. And one thing stood out for me, though. He said he'd love to see you prove it and get into the ring.
Do something about it.
Do something about it.
He said do something about it. Well, you know what? Grayson Waller, he's probably too scared to get on a plane and come over here or use any excuse. Oh, I can't get the time off. He's not coming.
No,
He's
coward.
You said it. Your
Not my
words,
words, Jimmy's words.
Not mine. Yeah, he can hide behind a screen, hide behind travel.
Hide behind his fake tan. That is insane. I didn't realize how orange he gets for fights, but it's one of the worst spray tans I've ever seen in my life if you check out his Instagram.
Yeah. So I reckon it's just original call out. Let's just go for Ricky South. Let's just get it on.
Yeah. Well, they've got like their equivalent of their WrestleMania. Their huge fight they do mid-October. Maybe you wrestle him there if he's up for it.
If he's up for it, if my calendar's clear,
Yeah.
it's after the grand final. So in all likelihood, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I am. Like, let's go.
I've heard along the grapevine he's a Doggies fan as well.
Well, we could be both having a big week of celebrations, and then I'll just
And
have
then
to
just end him.
end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got a Rockbuster for us this week?
Oh no, but just on last week's Rockbuster.
Yeah.
So it was that Gold Squadder should be speaking like this. James Dwee. So do you understand what we were? Oh,
Well,
sorry, and there was another line.
Yeah.
James Hoffey, NRL. James Hoffey by round.
So that
James
is
Hoffey.
Welsh, you're speaking.
Yes.
So Tony obviously knew Welsh. A lot of people got it. Sammy Hayes and another guy on Instagram got it. Well done to those two.
Do you know how I learned that Welsh?
How?
Ali G.
See, you would assume he just would make up his Welsh. Like he makes up his, when he's doing ball ride, he's not actually speaking Kazakhstanian.
The Ali G character goes to Wales.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. This is going back, I think, like 99.
Yeah, right.
And he goes to Wales and he does these Welsh lessons and he's like, and they go like, Dewey Hoffy means I like. And he's like, we don't like coffee. And she's like, no, coffee means to like. And he's just like, no, we don't like coffee. And then he's like, oh, me like. So she goes, tell me something you like. Oh, wicked. Me like punani. Me like the chicken. She's like, oh, say Hoffy. He's like, no. Me don't like coffee. So that's where I learned my Welsh from. So
that's impressive. And also for anyone who's not sure about a Rockbuster, is just coming in for the first time, it's like a cryptic clue for an NRL player.
yes.
Cryptic clue.
And well, we say cryptic. You know, we're not going to be writing. We're not going to be producing 101 cryptic.
No, it's not going to make
clues,
the Daily
crossword.
Telegraph's paper. It's not going to make the Sydney Morning Herald.
No,
These are quite
quite vague.
Yeah, my one is a bit
open to
stupid.
interpretation. Some of the words often don't they don't make sense. That actually Christian Welsh did. But
Yeah.
often it's the Geesh Adokar.
Yeah.
One was obviously Geesh add-on car.
Yeah. This is a bit of a
is a
Geesh
personal
add-on
favourite.
car.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't mind these.
It's a bit stupid. My favourite Southeast Asian holiday destination, but it's definitely not a yay. And unfortunately, I've misspelt the word to describe that place where we dig the diamonds.
Oh God. Favorite Southeast Asia? Where's Southeast Asia? Or Vietnam, Thailand, Thai. Oh,
Well, yeah, good luck. If anyone can get that,
Yeah.
bravo. Because the reason I made it harder is we've got like 5 hats left. And everyone wants the hats. They don't want the tees with the merch. So we might have to restrict it to one. I don't know. One giveaway, one winner. But anyway.
well, good luck. Anyway, to our listeners, and our viewers.
The Immortals have been announced overnight. We're recording it here on Wednesday. So congratulations to insert name.
Yeah.
Cam Smith, most likely, we think is going to get the Immortal status. But
in all likelihood.
in all likelihood. But congratulations, James, obviously your teammate, Sam Burgess, who's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, or will have been now inducted into the Hall of Fame. Absolutely incredible achievement. How proud are you then as his mate?
Yeah, it's awesome. And he's actually over here as well. He's made the effort to come over to receive this honour. I've been very critical of coaches that go away during their break. But I think in this circumstance for for Sam. It's very important that he attends and is recognised for the work that he's done for our game and for what he did for South Sydney. It was incredible. It really was. When you look back and you understand the history of what they went through, that rebuild, coming back into the competition, years of being down near the bottom end, and he was the catalyst for that. And like, what a player! I remember him bursting onto the scene at Bradford at a 17-year-old, and it was like, wow, we knew like there was something special about this lad. And then obviously to go on and play with him at international level and play against him, obviously here for the Bulldogs against Souths and the Dragons against Souths a couple of times, and obviously for St Helens and Bradford went up against it a few times. It's incredible what he's done. I'm really proud of his achievements, and I think he deserves it. I think he's like the first
English international.
Yeah, so I think there's been some players that were maybe born in England that emigrated over, but for me, it's the first Englishman, really, isn't it? If we're being real about this, so it's a big achievement that, like, it shouldn't matter where you come from, but like to be that first one, it is pretty spectacular, and he was amazing to play with on the test scene. There was a few times where I remember one game against New Zealand, and I tweaked my knee, and I was in all sorts, and he just looked at me, he was like, "Jammin, we need you." I was like, "All right, fuck this knee, we're going." And then I missed a couple of games after it, but it was like, well, you know, when you're in that, I want to push through, but you just needed someone to just say, "Come on, mate." Like, and then obviously playing against them, far out, it was brought out the best in you, and worst maybe as well. But I don't think there's a forward that played in the middle during his peak years that didn't have respect for him and what he brought to that Souths team.
Yeah,
anybody that played in the middle, like, knew about Sam and knew what he brought and knew that, like, the difference he made to that team, the emphasis you put on him, and just even, you know, you often look at like the big things that players do. So that run where he's just charging, where, you know, he's got no self-preservation, where he charges into, I think, Tony Williams and Michael Innes, a few of those big hits that he pulls off. But it's what he did for that team. So he was the setup play guy as well, because they knew the value of him generating a quick ruck to then put a shift on. A massive part of what South Sydney did. A lot of the focus when we were playing at the Dogs was, let's not go looking for Sam, but anytime he runs the ball, it's an indicator that a shift is about to happen. So you've got to slow him down, which was nigh on impossible, stop the offload, but then you know what's coming next. Is they're not just giving Sam the ball to just for no reason, or because there's something about to happen. And that was when he more played in the middle. Then when he moved to an edge, it was that strike that he brought, but he was phenomenal. And the work he's doing now as a coach as well, like Warrington are flying high, and it's no surprise to me that he's looking like he will succeed in coaching. I remember being in England, or in England training camp. We were in South Africa, and we were preparing for the 2013 World Cup, and we had this training session. It just wasn't going well, and it was just one of those shit sessions. And I feel like, and he just turned around and he just went, I hate shit practice. I hate it. And I was like, oh. Like, I wasn't a fan of it either, but he was just like, adamant, I hate shit. But it was like, you know, when you can...
Properly blowing up.
No, it wasn't blowing up. It was just said in a way, in a tone. Because I think some people, you blow up, but he said it in a tone and a way which you don't need to blow up. It was just a different tone, and I think it resonated with some people. Because the easy thing is to blow up, or maybe some people are like, oh, it's only one sesh, and everybody's different. You know, you speak to different people that have played in the played rugby league, NRL, Super League, International, and Origin, and there's different temperaments, there's different personality types, there's different traits that we have, and people deliver messages differently and respond in different ways. But Sam was very much just like, I hate shit practice. It's like, wow.
It kind of shows that he would have been like the perfect guy for Madge in that Bunnies team as well, because of how he was off the field. Because obviously everyone knows Madge ran incredibly intense sessions, and Sam would have been that perfect leader to just make sure that all the players would buy into that.
Absolutely. Well, I've obviously spoken about this at length. Mentioned it with Dr. Scott Goldman, spoke with you and on Triple M, and with Wade Graham and Jason Demetrio about the Plato distribution and Price's law, where how many people in an organization, the percentage of people that get the work done. So if you're the coach, like, you spend a lot more time with your leaders because they're going to drive it all. They're going to be the example example setters, the influencers. You know, the word influencer gets thrown around now like it's a social media thing, but when you're in a sporting organization, there are influencers, like, and they're usually the better players, the leaders, and it can work both ways. Like, everybody influences in a way. If you get a couple that are influencing negatively, that can drag some people one way. But if you look at South that year, or the years where Madge was there and they were competing in the top four and eventually won it, he was either by design or by accident, you know, obviously targeted Sam to be a big influencer. One, because he's got 3 brothers in the team, so they all look up to him.
They're like the alpha group almost of a team, just sheerly based on the numbers of the number of them.
So he so you go bang, there's 4 of my top 30 taken care of, or I think it was even top 25 back then. But there's 4 of my top 30 like that are in, that I know are in. And then Sam would also look for others. So, you know, all the middles, or the people like Dave Tyrrell, you know,
John Sutton.
Well, John Sutton was probably one of those leaders that drove a few things. So it'd be Sam, John Sutton, Reynolds, Inglis. There's your 4 that you focus on. Isaac Luke was close with Sam. Like, he would have made sure he was on board. So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into team dynamics, and having Sam involved in there is massive. I know playing with England, he was a huge influencer on the playing group, both on and off the field.
We were going to talk about Latrell later on, but we may as well bring it up now because I think it kind of ties in nice with the Sam Burgess stuff, because he obviously left South Sydney towards the end of last year, and you can just tell he obviously knew that things needed to change or they would end up in the position they're in now, and not enough was being done to make sure guys like Latrell were in line. And yeah, it shows in what's happened to South this year.
Yeah, look, that was what was spoken about in terms of some standards weren't being met. Don't know the full ins and outs of it, but yeah, I guess people would look at that and go, well, he was right. And again, I don't know exactly what happened. I really don't. I think just on Latrell, I was listening to a podcast today actually and thought, with another sports psychologist actually, about how talent needs trauma, and the road, it's a rocky road to the top, and by trauma he doesn't want to. This guy was saying, like, you know, be careful how you use that word, but basically you need difficulty, and talent needs difficulty to succeed. I think he did a paper back in 2012, and he spoke about like this rocky road to success and how talent needs difficulty, how talent needs to be upset
To drive them?
Yeah. Like, having talent isn't enough.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, like, well, you know, to ride a bike, for instance, you've got to go through trauma, you know, difficulty, pain, tears. You know, you let the kid go, and then they genuinely fall over, and you expose them to that and how much you control versus don't control. But Latrell's in a situation now where this season, hasn't gone well. He played that Origin in game 2, which he was absolutely fantastic in, and then obviously this incident now. I think Wayne coming in can be that person that can just help guide him a little bit. Probably somebody who he can listen to, and actually will. Like again, we spoke with Dr. Goldman, didn't we, about like the message versus the messenger, and like the difference in what weight the messenger carries. And I think with Wayne, it's actually perfect timing.
Well, the truth is they both need each other as much. Like the Souths need Latrell at their best to be a finals contender, premiership contender, and Latrell probably needs a guy like Wayne Bennett to get him back focused.
Well, you'd hope that this now will reignite Latrell's drive, like his drive to be one of the best players in the competition, because I think anybody that watches the game knows that he has the potential to be. At times he's showcased that. I think when you have that drive and when you have those positive influences on your life, it can certainly help set you up for that.
Yeah. And he had that meeting with Volandis and Abdo early in the year after the he had a few different indiscretions starting with the Triple M thing. He was out in Vegas the day before the game. That didn't get much attention. I don't know why it didn't get much attention. He says he wasn't drinking, but he was out till like 2 a.m. the day before the game, which is strange. I know Las Vegas, we were there. There's not much to do except for go out. So it's not like the crime of the century. I don't think the white powder thing is necessarily the crime of the century. But South, the way they've gone about it has left themselves a bit vulnerable, because now they want to sanction Latrell and put pressure on him. And there's talk about, maybe wanting to sack him. Who knows if that's true or not, but they haven't actually followed the process properly from the start. So they haven't. The way I'm told is they haven't got a case now to sack him. What they're going to do is hit him with a breach notice. It's going to be a very substantial fine, most likely a 6-figure fine. That's not from the NRL, but it's from South Sydney as a club.
Yeah.
And they're going to hit him with a breach notice. So this is the start, and he will need to get in line, because if he then does something wrong, he's on like 1.2 million a year. He doesn't want to lose that.
No, well, yeah, I guess. Not speaking about Latrell and South Sydney specifically, but star players are treated differently for better and for worse, and it can be detrimental to a team's cause, because the star player tends to get away with a little bit more, gets more leniency. It's been there's an old friend that the better player you are, the more rope you're given. Yeah,
but then at the same time, the better the player you are, the more you should be buying into what's going on, the more responsibility you have as well.
Yes, exactly. You're right, Charlie. They are, but we know of many top line players that were given way more.
Yeah.
Way more.
But South have always given him too much rope. And that's the issue, because he hasn't. All the stuff that's happened, he's not learning the lessons necessarily.
You could
to behave properly.
You could certainly argue that.
And to be fair, Blake Solly has not handled the Latrell situation well this year, and he hasn't handled the Latrell situation over the last couple of years very well.
Well, I guess it's come to this point now where that they are maybe standing up for a club if these breach notices, if these fines actually happen, then they're standing up as a club and they're saying, "Well, look, we're not going to be. We're pulling you into line now.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep you close. Here's the boundaries, and you can't step outside them."
You just hope though that they haven't given him, because they've given him so much rope. Latrell then doesn't respond badly to that, because it's in a very different way of handling in the past. Compared, they've handled this all with love in the past, whereas this is going to be a harsh punishment. How he reacts to that could cause issues.
You're 100% correct, because now fundamentally being treated differently, and the boundaries close in, and it's like, well, are you but really it's all on the response from Latrell. It's up to him. It's up to him whether or not he applies himself the best possible way. Now that's not cookie cutter. That's not doing it like a Dylan Edwards. It's not doing it like a Greg Inglis. It's doing it a way to get the best out of Latrell. I just hope that the drive is still there to do it. And there seems to be a lot of off-field distraction. If he gets the drive back and that internal will to win, like Souths will be in a good spot. But if he doesn't, it'll likely just be more of the same.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't lose him to the game because he's such a talent. Like, he's an unbelievable player when he's firing. He's
But also, I use that word influencer. Like, he's a big influencer on the game.
And does so much good outside the game as well.
And unfortunately doesn't get probably enough credit for the work that he does in the community, like underprivileged community as well. At that, he gives his greatest commodity, which is his time. You know, maybe he just needs to be a fraction more selfish and put that on hold, as much as that would hurt, and as much as he cares about that for the betterment of his football career. Maybe he needs to be selfish.
Yeah.
In his approach to football.
Potentially. Well, speaking of football, we should talk a bit of footy because there's so much happening, and the Premiership race this year has really gotten exciting now with Nathan Cleary's shoulder injury. I don't buy that he's going to be good for finals, by the way.
Why would you lie if you were Penrith?
Could coaches lie all the time? Why wouldn't they? They always lie about injuries.
Yeah.
And they want to keep a little bit of hope there, maybe.
But would you be not best lying the other way and saying he's gone, and then all of a sudden he's back? How good would that be?
Yeah. Well, maybe they just don't want. Maybe they want to keep morale in the group.
Yeah.
Or would the group always know the truth about his injury?
Oh, I don't know. With a player like this, because it'd likely get out.
Yeah.
Just thinking on wrestling, like, how good would it be if, like, Nathan Cleary's ruled out, and then just all of a sudden, like, when Stone Cold comes back, it's like, didn't. Oh my God, Nathan Cleary's back for the final.
Just actually, what's going to be your intro if you do wrestle? Have you thought about your song, or are you going to still work that out?
No, that's
down the track.
I've only just said, let's get it on, Charlie.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Look, the Cleary one is. They're not over reliant on him, but he's a very special player. Now, can they win 3 big games without him? That's the question mark. That is the question. I think they can definitely win 1, maybe 2, but they're gonna need him in a moment, just like happened on Thursday. So the last moment of that game, Penrith get a penalty. They need a 2-point field goal to send the game into golden point. They go to Edwards, and he was close, but no cigar.
It was going right over the black dot, just like 3 meters, 4 meters short.
I'm not going to insult him by saying like he missed the burn stick, but it just needed a little bit more.
Yeah.
Cleary, in all likelihood, nails that. We've seen him do it a number of times now. So they're going to need a play like that from a big game player. They've already proven they can win big games without him. For example, at Allianz. I think the worry is him coming back underdone. And if he defends where he defends, like, there's some scary back rows in the competition. First up being Crichton.
It's not his first shoulder injury as well. Yes, it's a different shoulder, but he's vulnerable.
Yeah.
He's in all likelihood, if he does come back, he's going to need surgery in the off season.
Yeah, and it was funny. We spoke with Dimitri, and he spoke about how if you can keep your body intact, it's fine. But then when if you reach, that's when you put yourself in a vulnerable position. But if you actually look back at the incident, he wasn't in an exposed position. That was what was so bizarre about it.
Josh King just slightly tightened.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously just got his shoulder was in an awkward position where he tightened.
And again, look, Nathan Cleary's running game is the threat. But if he runs and someone catches him, you're telling me they're not going to squeeze that a little bit harder? They're not going to, you'd happily give away a penalty as harsh as this is and as almost wrong and immoral as this is. If you're down there and you get him, you could concede a penalty for holding on for longer, not releasing the tackle, but you're going to be in there and you're going to be squeezing, you're going to be hoping for something to just go, because then your opportunity and your chance to advance into finals has just gone up.
Yeah. It's like what we were talking about a couple weeks ago in the Super League, where they were targeting that injured player, and there was backlash for it. It's like, no, every club, every player is going to be thinking that. Every coach is going to be thinking that.
Yeah.
Like what it has made though, it's really tightened up the premiership odds. So you've got now the Storm and the Panthers are both on about $3.40 on Ladbrokes, and then you've got Roosters at $4.40 when I checked earlier today. Do you reckon it is that three-way race, or can you see a couple others getting in? Because one of the teams that we're not really talking about a heap, and especially on the Byron we haven't really spoken about, is Manly. And they've beaten the Storm, they've beaten the Roosters, they've beaten Penrith. Like, that's good on their resume. They've got the points in them to match it with anyone.
And they've got the evidence that they can compete with these teams. And that's what you need. You know, like when the coach is delivering the message about like, we can beat these. Well, sometimes you might be going, well, it's all right for you to say, coach, but we haven't in ages, or we've not looked like anywhere near them. Manly have. Manly have, and with some genuine superstars in their game, like Tommy Taburovic, the strike of Ola Kawatu on an edge, Kola, who's absolutely rapid, Saab. They've got finishers in them.
Lehigh Hapawadi's another explosive outside back they've found.
They've got plenty of points. It's just whether or not they can do it for 3 or 4 weeks at the back end when the pressure comes. But they've got, people like DCE that have been around the block and obviously knows his way out to do it. Tommy, who's super experienced. So they'll be leaning on Jake, who's a magnificent captain of New South Wales. Despite him not playing long minutes, he does something to a team.
Yeah.
So, I think you looking at it, Charlie, you could say, look, Penrith, Melbourne, Roosters, people go, it's a three-way race. But you know what? It's not, because Penrith have looked obviously now very much more vulnerable with Nathan. Melbourne, I know they're top, but they're yet to play anywhere near their best football, which is a good thing, but also, well, why not already? Like, why haven't we peaked yet? Why haven't we seen the Storm peak? And I think that they're slightly vulnerable. Well, not even slightly vulnerable. I think they are vulnerable.
Do you worry, though, they've got another gear that they can go to? Like, even Munster, he just, like, in that game last Thursday, looked back to his best, or, like, creeping up towards back to his best. He was unbelievable in that game.
Mate,
they've got another gear to go to. Is the danger.
They do, but then why haven't they? Why have they been waiting? And obviously Munster's a big part of that. I think looking at that game against Penrith, I'd go, well, from the Penrith side of things, you go, well, the first try shouldn't have been a try. It was obstruction.
Yep, true.
We're missing Sorensen and we're missing Martin.
Yep.
Your two starting edge back row.
Edwards and Fish Harris first game back from a long layoff.
So they got the win. The penalty to get the win was dubious. The late hit, even the tries that they scored where they isolated Brian Toto and Warbrick, you go, well, we need to probably do something they're not going to get that same advantage against some other teams. Yeah, so that's just assessing that one game.
Yeah.
But Melbourne across the previous 25 rounds, they look vulnerable. Yes, they've got gears and we can talk them up. Then you got the Roosters. They've got the big story of like Jared, Joey, Kiri, Sualihi all moving on. So they've got a big narrative. But again, at different points, they've looked vulnerable. So I think your Manly are in the mixer. I think your Dogs are in the mixer. And I think I don't want to put a line through Cronulla.
Mate, they've got Hines to come back, but
I know
I don't know. They should have lost to the Knights, probably.
I know they should have, Charlie.
If you can't beat the Knights.
I know, but I reckon there's a penny to drop. And sometimes that's what you need. You just need, and I've been Dogs in 14. We just needed a penny. We needed to hit bottom and then bounce back up. Yeah. And that could be the Sharks this year. You
know what I worry about the Roosters? There's just something missing when you watch them. From 1 to 17, their roster is unbelievable. They have got probably the best roster in the game. With the amount of star players they have in like pretty much every position, the depth they have, it's incredible. But when they come up against the Storm and the Panthers, they just don't look like they're at the same level as those two teams.
Be great to have them in the final though, just for us on a personal level.
Oh,
like,
absolutely. Follow cheese along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just jam and cheese on the Monday before.
He'll have to still do it.
He'd have to.
Have to. We'll go to him if we have to, but
Be
he
like,
has to do it.
Come on, cheese. We need you, mate.
Yeah.
We should have put that in the contract, really, shouldn't we?
We should have, yeah. Although, the contract might have run out there because it was probably just a 1 year. It was a 1 year deal, probably.
Just a rolling.
Just a rolling schedule. You know.
Yeah.
He was pretty tame last time when they won the grand final as well. He didn't celebrate that hard. Champ.
Oh, you're
cheese.
thinking after it? Oh, I'm thinking the build.
Oh yeah. Oh, no, of course we'll do it before. I'm thinking after Madman.
Oh,
after
right.
winning
I was
the grand
talking
final.
about the build-up week.
Oh yeah, mate. He'll do that. He's a company man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the after one. No, you
after
can't
one.
expect him to do that.
Back to Manly as well. Manly can still make the top 4 because they've got the Sharks the final round of the season. I actually think they're more likely to make the top 4 than the Doggies, and people have been talking about the Doggies making it.
Well,
The
hang on.
It's this weekend that matters because the Dragons have the Sharks. If the Sharks lose, then it really opens the door.
The Sharks need to lose 2,
Yeah.
and then have Manly or the Dogs win all 3.
Yeah, correct.
That's what they need to
correct.
do, right?
Yeah, based on 4 and
Good,
against.
but yeah. So are the Sharks going to lose 2?
I think they could lose this weekend against the Dragons.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. But then
and then they got Manly at Brookie final round of the season.
yeah.
It's possible. It's possible.
But then Manly have got the Dogs as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of in
But then,
Manly's
so they've got
hand a little
yeah.
bit.
But
It's-
then they've got it. They're all tough games.
Yeah.
And can you win 3? I don't know.
Either
It's
way.
either
Exciting.
way. It is exciting. It is exciting. The Dogs though, like everybody are talking a lot about their defense, the best defense in the competition, which puts you in the frame. I don't care what name is attached to that stat. That puts you in the frame, and their attack is getting a lot better. But one of the things that's impressed me most about them this season, I was actually doing some thinking while I was away in Bundaberg. It wasn't just I wasn't just there to run and drink.
Funny you said, actually, just back to Bundaberg, because I was actually with Amy Goggins, who works at Triple M today.
Yeah.
And she actually sat in front of you guys on the plane, and you were like, oh, Josh was so loose, getting his shirt off, celebrating. But apparently you were right there with him, cracking every 15 seconds, every 15 minutes, on the plane back. And then I'm also right in saying that you guys were doing announcements on the intercom as well.
No, that was Josh.
But you were encouraging him.
I was encouraging him to make an announcement.
Pretend you were good.
No,
and the truth comes out.
I was very well behaved, but Josh was.
Yeah.
I was like, mate, just ask if we can do an announcement, and then you say this about our favourite bulldog of all time, Fred Serraldo.
And also, you was it a plane where you apparently on the plane they didn't even allocate seating? You just sort of go where you want.
Yeah, it was a chartered flight. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
No, but what has impressed me about the Dogs is I was doing some thinking about what they've achieved so far this year, and like without Ryan Sutton, without Carl Oluwapu, who combined together would be probably $1 million on the salary cap.
Sutton and Carl.
Yeah,
Fuck, that's big money for those two.
well, it would be.
I get Oliver. He was like signed to the potential.
Yeah,
$500,000 a year, maybe. But Sutton's on $500,000 a year.
I reckon he'd be on at least 4.
Yeah, but
And I think Carl might be on a bit more than 5.
yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So there's a million gone.
They've had so many injuries.
And
they've
had injuries.
Max King's out
Max
now.
King, like, and Carl and Ryan have both been out for the whole season. And sometimes, like, clubs will go, oh, we've had this injury crisis, or this percentage of our cap is unavailable, but the Dogs haven't used that. And I think not just that, having that $1 million, but then they went for Takiaho. That didn't come off.
Yeah.
There's some more money, 4 or 5. And then I think they still had cap space available as well.
Yeah.
So they're operating with conservatively 1.5.
Yeah.
1.5 to
conservative,
1.8.
Yeah.
Like of cap either not available or not being
At
used.
this stage of the season, though, most clubs are.
Yeah, they are. But
Most have a handful of injuries by now.
But some use that as more of an excuse, and they've not had that. But they've not had that all year. Do you know what I mean? Some have had it sporadically across the season. They've not had this all year.
Yeah.
All season.
Yeah.
So I think that's what gives me confidence that this isn't just a sugar hit year, that they're going to build for the next couple of seasons.
It's an incredible job Serrato's done. Are the Panthers your premiership favourites still?
Do you know what you have put me off course with this Cleary thing, and I know you speak to people, and I'm like, I wonder what Charlie maybe secretly knows or he's heard. Yeah, it depends.
Mate,
doesn't it?
You don't need to have spoken to people though to see Nathan Cleary's reaction on Thursday. And that is not the reaction of a man who's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks.
No, it's not, is it? You're
and
right.
now
I forget
something
that.
yesterday would come out that he might not be right for week 1 of finals. It's the story that's just going to keep on going.
Oh,
and
mate,
going
this
and
poor,
going.
yeah, it's not going to end.
No. Do you know what's crazy though?
It depends. Go on, sorry.
I reckon without Cleary, they're still favourites against the Roosters week 1 of finals. At Penrith, I reckon they're still favourites. And I reckon they beat the Roosters week 1 of finals without Nathan Cleary.
I tell you what, if they don't beat, this is how it pans out, and because can the Roosters jump them? I think.
No, I don't think so. I think they can, yeah, because their for and against is quite good, isn't it?
So if they get
well, they're only 1 win behind, but I think the Panthers' run home is very soft. Like I'll just run you through it. It's Raiders, I know, this week, and then the week after they've got the Bunnies, another very easy game, and then the final round of the season, the Titans. Which Titans, what will they be playing for? Then nothing.
Yeah. That first game against the Roosters, if the Roosters get them and then they go over to the other side of the draw, so they'd have to go to Melbourne after playing, and well, if they win and then they go to Melbourne.
Yeah.
That's going to be, strap yourself in.
Yeah. It's going to be an amazing final series.
Yeah, it is. It is just as well on the Dogs. Talking about that, they were 1 win from 4. They lost to 2 of the bottom 3 to start the season.
Yeah. They'll be regretting those losses. And they almost were going to be on the same points as the Sharks. Unfortunately, the Sharks beat the Knights.
Guess we'll see. Let's get stuck into the round preview, hey?
Great round of footy coming up Thursday night. Starts with the Tigers against Manly. Heath Mason last week, he was great in his debut. I thought he kind of was, him and Jai Gray was almost like a mirror. They sort of moved the same. They looked the same with the headgear. Do you think Manly again though just going to have too much firepower?
They should do, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they should do. Look, Tigers will be stoked with that result, and obviously they're fighting not to win the spoon, but I think they're saving their fight for 2 weeks' time. I think they got the bye next week.
They've got the bye next week, and then it's the Wooden Spoon Cup. Fingers crossed. If Parramatta win, that ruins it. They've got Parramatta have the Broncos this weekend and the Dragons after. If they lose those 2, that's all we need, because we need the Wooden Spoon Cup. Campbelltown, 6 p.m, last game of the season.
Yeah.
It will sell out.
Yeah, we need that.
That game will sell out. It's two like Tigers v Eels battling for the spoon.
It should sell out.
Yeah,
because you need your support in tough times.
Yeah,
I think. Oh, but then with that week off next week, Tigers might just go launch up. Nah, they won't have. Actually, who am I trying to kid? Manly.
Can't kid a kidder.
You can't kid a kidder. No, Manly all the way.
All right, and then Friday night 6 o'clock game. Warriors at home to the Doggies. Sean Johnson, it's his last NRL game in New Zealand. They're calling the stadium, I think, Sean Johnson Stadium for the game. Legend of the game, but are the Doggies going to have too much?
I'm worried about this. I'm really worried about this game.
A lot of emotion there.
Emotion and a lot of travel for the Dogs, which is no excuse, and they won't look for excuses. They're a very professional outfit. I
love how you always say it about the Dogs. You're like,
what?
You make an excuse for them, and then you caveat by saying, they won't make any excuses. You just did it. You just did it for the salary cap.
I'm not making excuses.
They had Carl Olapau out.
Yeah. No. It's not about him being out.
How have they done it?
It's about the contract value of him.
Yeah. Sure.
And Ryan Sutton all year.
But Ryan Sutton and Carl Olapau. It's not exactly
it's a monetary value of about $1 million.
But they probably wouldn't even make the team right now if they were fit.
No, they wouldn't. But still.
So
anyway.
You are making excuses for the Dogs.
I'm a bit worried about this game.
Yep.
But I think the Dogs will get a very narrow victory. Geez, it was a good game last time they played. Warriors would be pissed off about that, but I think Dogs have got them.
Yeah, I think the Warriors might win this game. I think they will. I think it'll be a good game anyway. Friday night.
Oh, you just used the word they might win. Oh, you just said they might win. That's really like.
All right, they will win.
All right,
They will
yeah.
win. The Warriors will win. Friday night, the late game, Broncos Eels. It's a must win for the Broncos. It's all over for them if they lose, but
It's all over for them anyway. I'm not having this. They're still in.
yeah,
It's gone.
No Walsh, no Malm, no Mam, no Haas.
I'm going to go Broncos.
You don't. What you think? 12's not going to be enough? You think the Dragons going to get to 13?
I just don't. I don't know if the Broncos are going to beat the Dolphins, and I don't know if the Storm are going to rest.
I think the Storm
and
will
even
rest.
if the Storm do rest, I don't trust this Broncos team with the players they got out to get the win.
But when Bellamy rests, he doesn't just like rest.
Yeah.
He rests like everyone. Like in that.
But you're
last
still
game.
going to have top 30 players.
Yeah, of course. He'll have a handful, but like
Yeah.
he'll have probably no Pappenhausen, no Munster, no Hughes, no Grant.
And he'll have Farlongo, Wishart.
Yeah.
Like, you're still going to have a decent team.
It's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you got
I reckon Dolphins beat Broncos next week.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I genuinely think they do.
It depends.
Again, obviously, there's
Mate, the Dolphins have won like 2 out of 12 though, or something.
Yeah.
Like they've fallen off a cliff
They have,
completely.
yeah.
And Jerry Marshall King, if they lose this week, will they bring him back? I know he's talked that he might play next week. I don't know if they'll risk him.
No, I'm going to go Broncos in this one.
All right. Saturday, Raiders against the Panthers. Panthers first game without Cleary. Raiders, Ricky Stewart, I think, he hammered them in the press conference after that. Do you reckon we'll see a response, or the Panthers going to be too strong?
It's an awful opposition to try and get a response against, isn't it? Nah. They'll try their best. I reckon it could be close. Raiders have a funny thing. Like they go to Melbourne and like they fight tooth and nail, and they've got that about them. They just can't. They don't seem to be able to do it for long enough, sustainably. Panthers for me.
The 5:30 game, Melbourne Storm against the Dolphins. I mean, obviously it was a big game for the Storm, but they've had a long time off since that game on Thursday. 9-day turnaround. Are they just going to be too strong for the Dolphins?
Yeah, it's in Melbourne, isn't it? Nah,
Yeah, it's in Melbourne.
I think they'll win and win very comfortably.
Bunnies, Knights, must win for the Knights. Have you seen also the stuff with Adam O'Brien, the clause in his contract that Michael Chalmers broke today? So if the Knights finish 13th or lower, the final year of his deal doesn't kick in. So 2027, that year on his deal gets wiped.
What if that happens this year?
Yeah, he's got the performance clause.
If they finish 13th,
I know it's a random one, isn't it? Because like, why is 13th okay? It's like surely like it should be top 8 performance clause, not well you finished 13th. You finished 12th, bravo.
Yeah,
you
finished.
year.
You could finish they could finish 12th on points differential by like 10.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it?
Bizarre clause.
Yeah.
Jesus, some
funny
ones getting around.
He's managed by Isaac Moses, and I was producing a podcast earlier today, and one of the journalists, Danny Weidler and Michael Chalmers, they were saying that he now manages, I think, 6 coaches in the NRL, which is that's almost a monopoly, isn't it? To have that large a chunk of it.
Yeah.
And that was just the 6 they could name off the dome. Like, he's a fantastic manager. Obviously, he gets amazing deals for everyone he works with, but that seems like a huge chunk to have.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Then the late game. We covered that. Knights for you, Jimmy. Knights Bunnies. Did you tip them?
I didn't, but I will.
Good. Great to know. Titans, Roosters, you're going to be there in the Goldie for this one.
I sure am, Charlie. I'm looking forward to it, actually. The Titans, I'm thinking plenty of points in this one. I was going to do this one for my same game multi, but I'm going to save it for the Sharks or the Dragons Sharks game, rather.
So you got the Roosters winning that?
Don't know. This is a scary one. I'm on the Titans.
Oh, huge. Right, then final game, match of the round, Dragons, Sharks, the derby. Jack Burton, the halves, he was really good on the weekend. Who do you like?
I like the Dragons. I like the unders on the total points, which is currently 48.5. And I like Zach Lomax to score at any time, which is currently paying $6.41.
All right, nice. I like it.
I like some upsets on the Sunday.
Yep, sounds good. The Dragons also, by the way, they might be in for Clint Gutherson now, which is interesting. They obviously just picked up Val Holmes, but they could still be in for Clint Gutherson. The only worry is they might, like, it depends on how they can manage their cap with all this, because they're also looking at guys like Regan Campbell-Gillard and Daniel Saifidi, but supposedly they're not going for Corey Horsburgh anymore.
I wonder where Gutho would play for him.
Probably fullback. I mean, if you've got Sloan or Gutho, you'd pick Gutho fullback, wouldn't you?
Not necessarily.
Well, you play him in the centres.
Well, they've got Sully. Is Holmes going to play on the wing
I don't know.
for Zach?
Don't know.
That Tuipulotu's actually done really well.
He's really good. He's big body. His character as well. He's the character of the game.
Yeah, I was a bit unsure,
Yeah.
but he's got his way in. He kept Rabalauer out, which
He honestly, the role he played was it last Sunday
against the Titans.
Those carries he was taking the second half, they were getting no meters at all, and he had those runs that just took them out of trouble.
You could argue if Tuipulotu doesn't play last week, I don't think the Dragons win because they were under the cosh.
And he was giving them all their momentum in their sets.
Yeah.
He was the only one who really being able to bend the line at all.
But no, I think the Dragons should win. It's obviously another emotional game for Flano. It's is that Cogra or is that Win?
Win.
Oh, it's that Win.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they tend to play well there. Apart from the last time they played against Penrith.
And they didn't play that well against the Titans either. But anyway, that's probably us done.
Looking forward to the Windsock.
Yeah, the Windsock will be going crazy.
Windsock will be going nuts.
Be going mental. Live show as well. If you haven't already, comment on the
Instagram post.
Yeah.
Yes, and
you're running out of time to enter for that, I think, as well.
Yeah, so get on the jog.
Going to be a good show as well. Peter Sterling's going to be there.
Locked in.
It's going to be a food, drinks, everything included. It's going to be some great rugby league tales. And also, I'm hoping the Cheese is probably going to be there as well, because the Roosters are looking like, I reckon Panthers Roosters will be the Friday night NRL game, which means Cheese will come hang out Saturday, 14th September.
Sounds good, Charlie. All right, well, we'll see everyone soon.
On the buy round.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Much appreciated.